Star Wars is more than just a series of movies. It's a cultural phenomenon that has shaped generations of fans. From the very first crawl of text across the screen to the sound of a lightsaber igniting, it has always promised adventure, hope, and characters who inspire us. At its core, Star Wars is a story about people, heroes, villains, and everyone in between. These characters are the heart of the galaxy far, far away, and their journeys are what make the saga resonate so deeply. But what happens when those journeys falter? Over the years, Star Wars has given us some of the most iconic character arcs in cinematic history. From the fall and redemption of Anakin Skywalker to the hero's journey of Luke. These stories have captivated audiences and left a lasting impression. Yet, as the franchise has expanded, many fans feel that some of its most beloved characters have been mishandled. It's not just about individual decisions, it's about the bigger picture, the lost potential, and the moments that could have been so much more. There's something uniquely painful about seeing a character you've grown to love be miswritten or underdeveloped. It creates a disconnect, a sense of betrayal, as if the story you were promised never fully came to life. And Star Wars, for all its brilliance, has had its fair share of missed opportunities. From rushed storylines to inconsistent characterization, it's hard not to feel frustrated at times. What's even more difficult is that the flaws are often hidden beneath the surface. Star Wars has always dazzled with its visuals, action, and music, but when you take a closer look, you realize some of the most crucial aspects, the character arcs, aren't given the attention they deserve. The spectacle can only take you so far. Without meaningful development, the story begins to lose its emotional weight. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the character arcs that Star Wars has struggled to do justice. We'll examine the moments that left fans scratching their heads, the decisions that felt out of place, and the opportunities that were missed. Whether you're a lifelong fan or someone who simply loves great storytelling, there's something to learn from the triumphs and mistakes of this galaxy. Let's uncover what went wrong and why it matters. Anakin Skywalker's story is one of the most tragic arcs in all of Star Wars, but it feels like the potential for something greater was left on the table. The prequels set up this amazing journey of a man destined for greatness, who falls into darkness, but the execution of his fall felt rushed. In Revenge of the Sith, Anakin's shift from conflicted Jedi to full-blown Sith Lord happens too quickly. What makes it frustrating is that the foundation for an incredible arc is there. We see glimpses of the struggles Anakin faces, the pull between his loyalty to the Jedi Order and his love for Padme, yet we never truly dive deep enough into his inner turmoil. Imagine if we had more scenes exploring the cracks in his psyche, the gradual erosion of his trust in the Jedi. The story could have taken its time to show how he became a victim of his own fears. Instead, we get a version of Anakin that feels like he jumps from one extreme to another. One moment he's questioning the Jedi Council, and the next he's slaughtering people. That kind of sudden shift robs the audience of the emotional build-up. It feels like a missed opportunity to explore a nuanced descent into darkness. Anakin's fall is tragic, but it's hard to fully feel that tragedy when it's so rushed. It leaves fans wondering what could have been. What if we had a trilogy where Anakin's transformation was given the time it deserved? What if his choices carried the weight of a slow and deliberate fall instead? We are left with a rushed arc that feels like it had all the ingredients for greatness, but missed the mark in the execution. Luke Skywalker is the quintessential hero of Star Wars, the character who represents hope and redemption. So, seeing his arc take such a divisive turn in The Last Jedi left many fans feeling betrayed. Luke, the man who risked everything to save his father, becomes a bitter hermit who nearly kills his nephew. It's not that characters can't change, but this transformation feels unearned and jarring. The problem isn't just that Luke changes, it's how that change is presented. His disillusionment with the Jedi and his self-imposed exile could have been compelling, but it feels so disconnected from the Luke we knew. There's no bridge between the hopeful hero of Return of the Jedi and the broken man we meet decades later. It's as if the writers skipped the middle chapters and expected the audience to fill in the blanks. What hurts the most is that Luke's potential as a mentor and leader is wasted. Instead, his legacy is reduced to failure and regret. The sequel trilogy robs him of the opportunity to grow in a meaningful way and undermines the hope he symbolized. The Last Jedi might have aimed to subvert expectations, but in doing so, it left many feeling like Luke's character was betrayed. It's a bitter pill to swallow for those who wanted to see the legacy of the Jedi's greatest hero continue in a way that felt true to his character. When Finn was introduced in The Force Awakens, he had one of the most intriguing setups in Star Wars. A stormtrooper who breaks free from the First Order and chooses his own path. That's a story filled with potential. But as the trilogy progresses, Finn's arc goes nowhere. He's reduced to comic relief and sidelined from the main narrative. Finn's journey could have been revolutionary. We could have seen him grapple with his past as a stormtrooper, struggle to find his place in the galaxy and rise as a true leader. Instead, his character is underdeveloped, and his role in the story feels secondary. It's as if the writers forgot the importance of his perspective. What makes it even more frustrating is that Finn's story could have added so much depth to the sequel trilogy. He could have led a movement to free other stormtroopers, or challenged the morality of the Resistance and the First Order. Instead, he's given surface-level moments that fail to explore the deeper themes his character represents. By the time the trilogy ends, Finn feels like a character with a story half told. His potential is left unrealized, and fans are left wondering what could have been. It's a painful reminder of how Star Wars has sometimes squandered the opportunities it creates. Rey begins as a character filled with mystery and promise. A scavenger from a forgotten planet, her journey seemed poised to explore themes of self-discovery and legacy. However, as the sequel trilogy progresses, her arc becomes muddled and inconsistent. Her rapid mastery of the Force and the lack of meaningful struggle make her character feel less relatable. The mystery surrounding her lineage was one of the most intriguing parts of her introduction. In The Force Awakens, we were led to believe her origins would have a profound impact on the story. But the constant shifts in her backstory, first being a nobody, then a Palpatine, it made her journey feel contrived. It's as though the writers were unsure of her place in the narrative. What's more disappointing is how little Rey changes over the course of the trilogy. Her strength and resilience are admirable, but her development feels shallow. She doesn't face significant consequences for her decisions, nor does she struggle with the moral complexity of her powers. The lack of vulnerability in her character makes it hard for the audience to connect with her. Her story could have been an exploration of forging one's path, despite the weight of destiny. Instead, her arc feels like a patchwork of ideas that never fully come together. The result is a character with immense potential but little depth, leaving fans yearning for a story that lives up to the promise of her introduction. Kylo Ren is one of the most complex characters introduced in the sequel trilogy, yet his arc suffers from a lack of focus and resolution. His internal conflict between the light and the dark is fascinating, but the execution of his journey feels inconsistent. At times, it's hard to tell if the writers wanted him to be a tragic villain or a redeemed hero. In The Force Awakens, Kylo's struggle is compelling. He's torn between the expectations of his lineage and his desire to forge his own path. However, his development stalls in The Last Jedi, where his motivations become increasingly unclear. The film teases a potential alliance with Rey, only to backtrack and leave his character in limbo. By the time we reach The Rise of Skywalker, Kylo's redemption feels rushed and unearned. His decision to turn back to the light lacks the emotional build-up needed to make it impactful. The moments leading up to his sacrifice are touching, but they don't carry the weight of a well-developed arc. It's as if the trilogy couldn't decide what it wanted Kylo to be. Kylo Ren had the potential to be one of the most memorable characters in Star Wars. His struggle with identity, legacy, and redemption could have mirrored the themes of the original trilogy, while offering something new. Instead, his arc feels fragmented, leaving fans with a sense of what could have been, rather than what was. Leia is one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars, a symbol of strength, leadership, and hope. However, her role in the sequel trilogy feels diminished compared to the legacy she built in the original films. While her presence is a comforting reminder of the past, the handling of her character lacks the depth she deserved. In The Force Awakens, Leia's position as a leader in the Resistance is established, but we see little of her personal journey. Her relationship with Han and the loss of her son are touched upon, but never fully explored. The sequels missed an opportunity to delve into Leia's grief and resilience, reducing her to a supporting role. The Last Jedi attempts to give Leia a moment of significance with her survival in space, but it feels out of place and poorly executed. It's a moment that could have showcased her connection to the Force in a meaningful way, yet it comes across as jarring and unearned. This misstep undermines what could have been a powerful narrative choice. Leia's story ends in The Rise of Skywalker, but her send-off feels rushed due to the limitations of real-world circumstances. While her passing is emotional, it lacks the grandeur and respect her character deserved. Leia's legacy is one of strength and courage, but the sequels fail to fully honor that legacy in a way that feels satisfying. Star Wars is a franchise built on the foundation of compelling characters and timeless storytelling, but the modern iterations have struggled to maintain that legacy. Anakin's rushed fall, Luke's divisive transformation, and the sidelining of characters like Finn and Leia all point to a recurring issue. These arcs are not just missteps, they're missed opportunities to create something truly extraordinary. The problem lies in the lack of focus and cohesion across these stories. Characters are introduced with promise, only to have their journeys derailed or ignored. The sequels, in particular, seem more concerned with spectacle than substance, leaving behind the heart and soul that made Star Wars resonate with audiences in the first place. It's not that Star Wars is beyond redemption. The franchise has always been about hope and second chances. But to truly honor the legacy of its characters, future stories need to prioritize depth and consistency. The galaxy far, far away deserves better, and so do the fans who have invested their hearts in it. In the end, Star Wars is more than just a series of films. It's a cultural phenomenon that has inspired generations. But when its characters are mishandled, it diminishes the magic that makes it special. It's a painful truth, but one that needs to be faced if the franchise is to move forward with purpose and integrity. Thanks so much for watching. I spend a good bit of time making sure each video is great. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It really helps out and means a lot to me. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments. We'll see you in the next one.